Hi, I'm Dawn Montefusco, and this is Write Your True Story, how to use your story to grow your business, inspire millions, and leave a legacy. And today, we have one of my greatest heroes, Tama Kieves. An honors graduate of Harvard Law School, she left her law practice with a prestigious corporate law firm to write and help others discover and soar in their life's work. She is the nationally best-selling author of This Time I Dance, Creating the Work You Love, Inspired, and another book, Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work, A Year Without Fear, 365 Days of Magnificence, and most recently, Thriving Through Uncertainty, Moving Beyond Fear of the Unknown and Making Change Work for You. She's a sought-after speaker and visionary career success and book coach who has helped thousands worldwide to discover, launch, and thrive in life, calling, and businesses of their dreams. Hi, Tama.
I'm so glad to be here.
So I gotta say, 15 years ago, a friend of mine gave me this, actually a visitor of a friend, overheard me talking about how I wanted to be a real writer. And I wanted to help people. And she says, you need to read this. And I took it and I put it down because I had so much going on. And I picked it up a few days later, and it quite literally like changed the course and the path of my life. So this was just magnificent. And I can't wait. We're going to hear your story again. And your new book, Thriving Through Uncertainty, which we're going to discuss mostly in this interview, nails it. I mean, 15 years later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many ahas in here. And we'll talk about that too. But first, tell us a little more about yourself and how do you describe you? How do you describe you?
How do I describe me? Like there's one word to describe me. My elevator pitch or just not that I've ever managed to have one of those ever, because I would talk forever in an elevator. There is no such thing as pitching with me. But I think I was born to help people unleash their callings. I was born to help people really find their gifts, their genius, their love, and bring it into the world, because that's what I had to learn how to do.
You learned it in a very interesting way. You did. I mean, it's so interesting. I've never said this before, but as time has changed and we've evolved, you literally are living the new American dream.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that. That's fantastic. I have an elevator pitch now.
Yeah,
Thank you. 2 seconds into the interview.
That's what I see you as, like the 21st century.
I agree 100% with you. I totally agree with you.
Tell us
to catch people up a little bit on our private jokes here. I pursued the American dream because I think, especially since this interview is about writing and about writing your story and becoming a writer, which is one of the dearest things to my heart. As many people might know if they've heard me speak or they've read my books already, I knew that I wanted to write when I was young. That was my dearest dream. But I grew up in a Brooklyn, New York, Orthodox Jewish family. And so, I was told, you're going to write? You're going to write? You are going to starve. You're going to write. And you know what I mean because you grew up in the
East Coast. The way you just said that was
it's the real deal. It's the real deal. And so I think like many people, and by the way, many people got this advice: don't do what you love, don't do what matters, don't do what's in your heart, just stay safe, stay practical, stay reasonable. And so I ignored my dream of writing. I ignored that desire. I went off to law school, got accepted to Harvard Law School, graduated with honors from Harvard Law School. It's a big deal. I was on partnership track at a major law firm. And I just felt so empty. It just felt so meaningless. This is the definition of success. Everybody says you have it. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Only it just felt empty and it felt meaningless. And every single day you're working and it just, I just felt like, is this all life is for? And thank God, and I really got depressed with it. And thank God a friend of mine said something amazing. He said, think about it. If you've been this successful
Mm,
doing something you don't even love, what could you do with what you love?
yeah.
So that, as you know from This Time I Dance, that was the core statement of that book. That was the statement that changed my life and the trajectory of my life, because I thought, my God, we get one life in this lifetime. I want to know where it goes if we follow love, if we follow our desire. So that's really how I began this whole journey. It's why I'm a missionary now. I'm getting you to your mission. It's why I believe so much in what you're calling the new American dream. And I agree with you, which is acting from inspiration, following that dream, following that desire, because it's the best decision I ever made.
Your story literally propelled me into like realizing I had permission. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the dream. That's my permission. And I'm curious if you can say how over these years now, how being authentic and vulnerable in your storytelling, how that has attracted
Mm.
your tribe.
Absolutely. And especially when I first began, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just being me, and because I don't seem to be capable of being anything else. And so, but the beautiful thing, to your point, it has attracted so much of my market, so to speak, or so much of my following, because in all of my books, the feedback I consistently get was, oh my God, you're so real. Oh my God, I read all these other self-help books. I read the 8 Easy Steps and the 30 Days and the this and the that, and finally, I read your books and I felt like, oh my God, I'm not crazy, or I could relate. And I had no idea that that would happen. I had that wasn't that wasn't an artificial plan on my part. Although there was some thought, like, I felt frustrated reading self-help books, as I read everything on the planet, and I'd read the 30 days and the whatever, and I'd feel like, oh my God, I'm failing self-help.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm failing self-help. Like, oh my God, where do you go now if you fail self-help? Like, oh my God, I can't do 8 easy steps. I am doomed. And so when I started writing, I wanted to write what you really feel and what you really go through and what you're really thinking, and how you can walk yourself through anything, and how you can stay inspired when you're scared out of your mind. And so I wrote these books for me, as I always do. And to your point, it has really, I'm so grateful. It has attracted thousands and thousands of people and continues to do so. And I'm forever grateful.
I love it. I think you actually said somewhere down the line that you wanted to write the book you wanted to read.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes.
remember that.
Because I was desperate for it. I'm reading all these books and I'm thinking, can I be the only person on the planet that can't do 8 easy steps? Because they're not that easy. If they were that easy, I wouldn't have bought this dumb book.
It's so true. I love that. So, okay, next question. Did you have doubts? Was there a point where you're like, whoa, I think this is too much. I don't know what's going on. And how did you pass that like fear of, kind of like the, screw it moment. This is who I really am. We're going to do this.
In all of my books and all of my work and all of my teachings and my retreats, my programs, everything, I think one of the reasons I am a good teacher is because I am filled with doubt. I'm filled with doubt. I am not the kind of expert that says, this is how you do it. I know, I'm on high. I think this is, in my perfect life on Fiji now, blah, blah, blah. I am not that expert. And again, it's why people relate, right? And because I have walked through this myself, and I have a very active, neurotic mind, and I have to comfort, excite, ignite, inspire myself every minute of every day. And so it's why I'm good at helping do that with others. And I deeply believe that if you're following a calling, if you're doing what you're here to do, if you're writing what you're meant to write, if you're really sharing who you're meant to be, you will be scared. You will be scared. You will be going to your edge. That's why that vulnerability, I think, is important, is that I think we need to learn from people who are going to their edge, not from people who have it all together, mapped out, imperfection, because I don't even think that's reality at all. I think it's packaging. And again, I want a teacher that they're going to their edge, they're going through this, they're going through the same process because I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to follow them. So absolutely, I have had doubts all the way through. I'll probably have doubts. I'll be in my 90s going, did I make the right decision? I know, but one thing I will say, I have not had a shred of doubt about making the right decision. I have never once had a shred of doubt like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done this. It is the best thing I've ever done. I always tell people that my definition of success, my real definition of success, is if a plane goes down when I'm on it, giving a workshop, and the plane goes down, that my definition of success is I'm at peace. I'm totally at peace. I'm doing what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Agreed. That was beautiful. I do want to tell everyone out there that Tama and I have a cold, so we might have water and during this. I don't want it to seem odd. I have a quote from your book, which I love. I have a lot of them, but this one fits.
Which book are we talking about? So I'm tracking with
yes.
you.
So we're diving into
thriving through uncertainty.
Diving in here in the sense that, first of all, the introduction is genius. And I mean, you can tell that you've mastered a lot of the ways that you write. You bring in these moments, these very poignant moments that are funny, like that all of a sudden, what seems really complicated, the human existence and your path and your journey, and we're trying to figure all out. And then you'll talk about, and occasionally I have hormonal homicidic, homicidic days or something, or moods rather. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. That happens too, and then I get back into it. And I love that ability to relax the mind and the soul. I also love that you have the Course of Miracles strewn through it. And I'll get to that later. But this you have on page, I'll even say it, it's on page, it's in the introduction, page 15 to 16. And you say you use the authority of personal story to liberate the personal truth in others, and that there is an activating power in intimacy. Can you tell us just a little bit for those people out there who really want to tell their story, and there's a little bit of fear and they're not sure, like, oh, why, does it really matter? That term, there's an activating power in intimacy. Can you help us with that one?
Absolutely. I think there's many, we could just talk the rest of the time on this, there's many things I could say, but I'll say two things real quickly. First of all, what I've noticed by telling personal story, and it's the main way that I teach, it's the main way that I write, through telling personal story, it does develop an intimacy with your reader or with your audience. And what it does is it establishes trust. Even when I'm coaching somebody, I'll tell them junk that's going on for me. I'll tell them, oh, I went through this and I'm going through that and whatever. And I do it deliberately as well. It's not just that I'm needy. I mean, there is that, but it builds an intimacy and it builds a sense of trust and safety. Because if you know me really well, what's going on for me and how I'm thinking, and you relate, you're going to trust me. And then if you trust me, you're going to go with me.
Yes.
Right. And so in my stories, I'm deliberately rolling you in, telling you this story, and then I am going to reverently bring you to your authority and to your Jesus and to your highest calling, right? I'm going to bring you there. And so, but I've learned for myself, and again, it's the same thing if I were learning from somebody. I don't learn if you just tell me the principle of this is the way. I don't get that. But if you make me realize, okay, you've struggled and you have issues and you have the same issues as me and this worked for you, now I'm in, right? So I think that's why personal story is so, so important. Also, I deeply believe in, as you know, through Thriving Through Uncertainty, I really do believe this is a spiritual calling and a spiritual path or an inspired path or whatever you call it. I also believe that at the level of story, each of us is chosen. We're assigned. There's something here. Your story is relevant for reasons you can't even imagine. And so, again, when you're speaking from that higher story of your real story, it's tapping into other people's stories and it's activating their stories. So, again, I think there's something very powerful that's going on.
Very powerful, very interconnected. You've really taken like the personal, like the human condition onto a personal journey.
Yes.
And through that personal journey, you connect the other person in.
Yes.
And so you're sharing, literally
Yes.
reading this, we're sharing in the human condition while you guide us through your personal story to have us tap into that story in ourselves.
Yes.
When you say spiritual, you're not joking. And it's because, like, I feel like with this, use your story to grow your business, we start to realize that if we're looking to attract people that vibrate with us,
Hmm.
then what better way to have a spiritual experience?
Oh, absolutely. That was the thing I never realized. So I'll say it's two quick things.
Yeah, yeah.
First, first of all, for me, I wanted to write these deeply reverent, amazing concepts that I know intimately at this point, because I've now taught A Course in Miracles for 30 years, and I've worked with thousands of people, and I've shifted thousands of people. And so I know intimately the power of these principles. But I really wanted, as in all my teaching, I want to make them personal. I want to make them applicable. I don't care about principles. When I teach A Course in Miracles, I always say, I don't even care about A Course in Miracles. I care that you have a miracle. That's
Oh,
what I really want. I don't care about the concepts. I don't care if you ever study it. I don't care what you believe. I just want to get you there. And so for me, telling personal stories and making it personal to somebody really can help them live something reverent and larger than ever before. But to your point, and something I didn't realize when I first started, and has truly been, I think, one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me, is that through telling my own stories, through authentically being myself, I've attracted people who love me or
yeah.
who like me and who are like me. And so my business is my best friends.
Yes.
My
Oh,
business is people I love and adore. My business is people I would pay to know. I would pay to know you, and
yeah,
so, again, all of my business, I meet the most incredible people, and I think, oh my God, I can't even believe I'm in the room with these people.
yes, yes,
But they resonated with my story. And before writing and before this business, I felt so alone in life. I've
yes.
always
Oh,
felt alone. I never connected that much. I'd connect a little bit with this and a little bit with that, but not really. I'm not fully anything
yeah,
until I found my voice,
yeah.
my passion, my mission, my tribe.
That
Right. So,
totally.
so to your point, it's a it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't strategic on my part. I didn't even know that.
Mhm.
But my God, it's been one of the best things that's ever happened.
Yes. And that sense of connection you hit on, what is it that we feel like we, at first, while we're stumbling along, we feel like we have to do everything alone. Like,
Yeah.
and alone means keeping everything in, you know?
Hmm.
The more that we share, the less alone
Absolutely.
are. And then creation happens through sort of action and reaching out,
Hmm.
to spirit and the universe, and God can come in and
Absolutely. And that's, and that's one of the principles that I teach in Thriving Through Uncertainty, is that so many times people are waiting until they're perfect and they have it all together, and they know exactly what they want to do, and they know exactly what they want to write, and then they'll start writing, and
yeah,
then they'll start coaching, and then they'll start whatever. And good luck with that,
yeah,
because you'll be waiting forever. If I waited till I was perfect, believe me, we wouldn't even be having this interview right now, years into it. And so, uh, but the thing is, I have a line where I say something like, it's not you who empowers the gift, it's the gift that empowers you.
yeah,
It is not you who empowers the gift, it's the gift that empowers you. And by that I mean, you don't even know how talented you are. You don't even know the resources you have to give us. You don't even know the power of your gifts and your talents until
mhm,
you start giving them.
yeah,
Until you start starting. You don't even know how talented you are in writing until you start writing. And again, most of my clients are thinking, well, I need to know what book it is, and I need to know how to structure it, and I need to know, what the title is, and it's like, let's just jump in, because
yeah,
when you jump in and you start doing it, things move you, and you activate the spiritual genius inside you. Because again, let's also keep in mind that this is not just our journey, it is the journey.
no journey,
It is
yep,
it is a higher journey. Your spirit is calling you, your soul is calling you, your love is calling you. You don't even know where you're going. Really, you don't. I would never have ever in a million years, I would never have dreamed what, some of the
Oh,
things I do right now at all. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, and you say in the introduction, you also talk about the obstacles are actually showing you the way. You
Hmm.
know, that stumbling, is part. You don't know. And oh, but then this messed up. Okay, well then go that way. Or whatever.
Exactly, exactly. And especially, like that is one of the main points in thriving through uncertainty is we keep waiting until, there's this illusion that when I have it all together,
Yes.
this would happen, then I'll be okay. And if when the check comes in, I'll be okay. When my third kid graduates from college, then I'll be all right. And life is happening now in the uncertainty, and especially for those of us who are creative, for those of us who are entrepreneurial, for those of us who have these stirrings inside us, all the genius happens in the uncertainty. And to your
Yes.
point, it happens with the obstacles because one of the things that A Course in Miracles teaches is that we're here to remove the blocks. We're here
Right.
to remove the blocks
Yeah.
to the awareness of love's presence.
Yes.
We're here to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. What that means is that every challenge you go through in your business or in your writing or in your marriage or in anything really, that block is like you said isn't in your way. It's your dharma, it's your lesson, it's your healing. It's that block has always been in my way,
Yeah.
right? But because writing meant so much to me, I'm a little fearful person, but because writing meant so much to me, I'll go through anything for it. I'll serve,
Yes.
I'll do anything for this calling, right? And so it means I'll heal my wounds, it'll heal my stupid beliefs, my dark beliefs, my limiting beliefs. So
Oh,
that's
that's
what it's for.
amazing. There's something you do, and it's part of one of the questions I want to ask, and I love it. I think it's something we should remember, and people out there who are starting to tell their story. You mentioned that you deliberately repeat some aspects of your story because you trust the instruction of repetition, and the same story becomes a new story.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because I love that you repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a little bit of a block for some people who think that they have to use their story once and then it means one
Oh,
thing.
God, yeah. And especially, I hit that as a speaker a lot also because I'm speaking in a lot of different venues and or I get asked back to different places. And, there's always the thought like, oh God, I better come up with some new material. And of course I do come up with new material. Um, but I also know that some of my stories are key stories and they're really powerful. Plus, I can't change my history. It's like I would love to live 10,000 lives to entertain you all, but I just really have done that. This has been enough for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so and it's and for a while I think I felt a little insecure about that, like even in writing this book, like, oh my God, because I know that I have readers who've read my stories in other books and they're going to read some of the same stories, but they're different every time. And I've come to believe that my stories and your stories are teaching stories. They're like parables.
Mhm.
They're like, they're almost like if you take yoga, for instance, you're going to do downward dog. It's not going to be a new pose every single time. It's going to be downward. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to do downward dog. It's not going to be a big mystery, and but each time you do downward dog, you hopefully do something different. You open up to something deeper. And it's the same thing with stories, right? Is that when you tell it, it has a different context. I'm in a different place now. My reader's in a different place now. I'm sure you've had the experience I certainly have where you open a book that you've read and you think that wasn't in there before. How
Yeah.
did that
Yeah.
line
Yeah.
get in there?
I also say things. I mean, I'm notorious for saying, "Tell me that story again."
Oh,
That story again, right? When you're little, and then as you get
yes.
older, or then you have an intimate partner. I mean, I know that with my boyfriend, sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, will you tell the story of?"
Right.
Because I
Right.
want to hear it again, and I get to hear it in another way. So
Yes.
I love that you
Absolutely.
mentioned that because I think it's something that's very powerful as it evolves, and we want to read the poem again, we want to read the book again, we want to hear the song again, we want to watch that movie again. And we're that's there's another person who hasn't heard it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I
And
love it. I want to go back to this again. So thriving through uncertainty, she gives these instructions. I'm talking about she. Instructions that I love.
Great she, the capital great she.
Totally. To open it, you're like, don't, because we all like instructions. We all think we have to read a book from cover to cover. And you said just to open it and see where you land. And it has been the spookiest, most wonderful experience to read your book that way.
Wow.
And I have one where I thought, okay, I want her to just talk about this for a second, because I have made my way manually through Course in Miracles on my own, which now after I realize you've taught it for 30 years, I'm going to have to
come join me. We do it virtually.
Yeah. What'd you say?
We do it virtually. So I do it in Denver live, but I do it virtually for the whole world. So yeah.
There's so much beauty in there that and repetition and the right teacher.
Oh God, yes.
But I opened it up and it said, A Course in Miracles teaches love makes no comparisons. It says that because comparison is impossible, you do not ever know the real story about someone else or yourself. Because if you did, you would choose your life again and again and again. In fact, many spiritual traditions teach that on a soul level, we have chosen this life. But let's just stick to simple logic. Since this is your life, it's better if you choose it. And I just adore that. And the comparison you have before that is, like you're not going to get judged like a bad partner, by the universe. They're not going to sit around or like my Italian aunt saying na 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 na. Like the universe doesn't do that.
Right.
There's no
the universe isn't a fickle boyfriend. Like, I don't think you.
Yeah. And love has no comparisons, meaning we oftentimes, I think, when we want to tell our story, we just start comparing our story to someone else's story. Tell us more about letting go of that and realizing that you choose your story and there is no other story like yours.
Absolutely. And, and I always write what I'm learning myself, because comparison has been a demon for me, like I'm always struggling with it. And I tell a story, right, like in that section, I believe, that was really an eye-opening moment for me that way, about how you really can't compare and how your story really is your story. I had gone to some conference, and at the time I was just newly broken up from somebody and just feeling miserable and like a loser, and I'm never going to meet a guy, and I can't do relationships. And I see this couple and they're making me sick because they're so in love and they're so cute and they're both blonde and they're perfect. They're perfect in every Mr. and Mrs. Perfect, and they're spiritual and they're cooing at each other. And anyway, and so it's a spiritual conference, and naturally I get partnered with her. Like you have to do this thing. You have to do this exercise where you're going to tell your truth to somebody, like what you're going through. And I'm like praying, please don't let me get her. Please don't get me. Of course I get her, right? So, but it was really amazing because I started off by, blurting out God knows what about, and I feel like a mess, and I'm not this, and I'm not blonde, and I can't meet the right guy, and you have this together, blah, blah. And she looked at me, and when it was her turn, she said, oh my God, I could never be like you. You're so honest. You're so real. My relationship with him is a sham. I don't know how to tell him the truth. I want to break up, but I don't know how to get out of it. And it was like this amazing moment, because I've been projecting all over her. And you do this with everybody. You decide what's going on in their lives, and you decide how perfect it is, and you're making up all these stories. And meanwhile, she was so admiring of me and who I was, and how truly in my life I was, good, bad, or otherwise. and it's made me, especially for those of us who are entrepreneurs and those of us who are, writers, and you compare yourself constantly, I'll tell you one other quickie version of this. It was so pivotal to me, actually. I can't believe I didn't start with this story, actually. It was when I was writing This Time I Dance. I was writing that book for 12 years without an agent, without a contract, without a publisher, without anything, just on this dream of following an inner voice. And one day, it was like year 8 or year 10 or God knows what, I walked into a bookstore and there was a brand new book on exactly the topic.
I do remember this. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh my God. And it had like 1,000 endorsements and the person was famous. And you do this junk in your head like, oh God, why bother? I
Yeah.
mean, who needs me? I'm an unknown author. Nobody knows me.
Mhm.
And then I like did all the self-attack thing in my head, like you're listening to an inner voice, you know. Hitler heard an inner voice. You could be a nut hearing an inner voice, you know. And fortunately, so I like have this total meltdown and start crying. And fortunately, I'm in the self-help section, so they have the little bench there, you know. So, um, but I always tell this story of it was really a choice point. At that moment, it was a choice point because everything in me, my fear, my shame, my negativity was saying, you're no one, go back, you know, be practical, be reasonable. And by the way, I want people to know that being reasonable and being practical is often fear, is
Oh,
often fear, is often fear. And so my negativity was saying that. And then thank God I went home and I was journaling because that's what I do when I'm crazy. And this inner voice just kept saying, no, you have to trust. You just have to trust. You have to trust this. And then what it said was, you have this dream for a reason. There's a reason this is coming to you. And what it said is, what's it going to feel like at the end of your own life to know you have this dream, you had this desire, but you didn't choose it. You gave up. It's one thing if the whole world rejects you, whole other thing when you reject yourself. And so that was this incredible choice point of like, which voice do you listen to? And thank God I listened to that love and, you know, went on and is, you know, to publish This Time I Dance and to have, you know, so much come from it. And then the publisher picking up all 3 of my other books and a whole national following just from that one choice. So
yeah.
comparison costs way too much.
Yes. And I'm going to, the time has gone by so fast, but I'm going to end with this one question, which I love. Would you be where you are today had you not shared your personal story?
Oh God, absolutely not.
Right?
And partly not only the people that we attract, I wouldn't have known my personal story. I wouldn't have known to choose
Wow.
this reverent inner voice. I wouldn't have known this genius. I wouldn't have known who I am and what I came here to do.
Yes.
It's writing it that taught it to me.
Yes. Yes.
I became who I am by sharing this story. I'm still becoming who I am by sharing it.
I love that answer. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Gosh. You also have some free gifts or something to offer the audience.
Absolutely. You know, several things I do want to just say is please come out to my website, tamakieves.com, tamakieves.com. And we have free gifts on the website. We have some really great resources.
Yes.
Also on Facebook every day. I'm on Twitter every day. We have a worldwide community of and many, many writers, actually, and many entrepreneurs who are choosing love instead of fear. But I have some specific free gifts for this community and that I'm excited about. I have a Trusting Your Inner Voice class that I did that I will be giving away, Trusting Your Inner Voice. And I also included with that is another class about the power of your desire. Because I'm such a big believer on choosing the right desire and choosing the right dream and following it all the way. And so, do I tell people? I'm not sure how to tell people how to get that. I can tell you the
I'll
link.
have everything on
That, all that.
page.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so anyone listening in, this whole page will have all of Tama's information, her website, and the free gift links for just the people that are watching here. And I encourage everyone to go out and buy all of her books. But right now she has Thriving Through Uncertainty. And given the crazy going on out there with the beauty of us being completely connected globally, there's like all this stuff. And I'll tell you, you'll feel a whole lot better. Read Tama's book. And again, just having it next to me.
And if I can say one quick thing about that, if that's all right, you know, I really wanted to write Thriving Through Uncertainty for everyone going through any issue at all, but particularly those of us who have dreams. Because the one thing I've seen is the one thing that stops people from living their dreams is they don't know how to handle uncertainty.
Yes.
It gets in their way. And so I just wanted to write something that would keep you focused every single day and going past your fear and doing what you came here to do. do, because I want your gifts in the world.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Gosh. Ah, all right. Well, you have a fantastic day.
Will do. Thank you.
I hope to see you again soon sometime, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Okay. Bye, Tama.
Thank you.